What's up guys, Cali Sunset Gaming with you again, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to emulate Hansi Flick's formidable Bayern Munich team's formation and tactics for your FIFA 20 career mode and online seasons. Let's get to it. Bayern got off to an awful start this season, before Flick joined, being fourth in the league after 10 games under Niko Kovac. After Niko's sacking, the board were in a difficult position of trying to find a replacement in mid-season, always a challenging task. At the time, Flick was assistant manager and got his shot at taking the head role with the intention of it being a short-term fix. Flick came in, faced Olympiacos in the group stages of the Champions League and beat them 2-0. Then, more impressively, beat Dortmund by 4-0 in the league. That was all it took for the board and the players to get behind Flick, who evidently proved he was the right man for the job. After 16 games in the Bundesliga, his team was averaging 3.1 goals per game, which is the best average from any manager in the Bundesliga ever. Not this season, not last season, not the past 10 seasons. The best ever. So now let's move on to the formation. They mostly use a 4-2-3-1, which can be seen morphing into a 4-1-4-1 when defending. One centre mid will drop, sitting in front of the defence, whilst one will step forward, creating the two banks of four. Lewandowski will press the opposition centre-halves and act as that first line of defence, trying to gather the ball in the offensive position with the wide players pushing up in support if the ball were to go wide. When attacking, Davis and Pavard know to push. Because of their athleticism and just natural talent, they're able to push high and be able to track back enough to be able to provide that defensive cover when needed. From what I've seen of the attacking, they seem to be keen to move it down one wing before quickly trying to change it to the other wing, using Davis's speed to utilise the style of attacking with dramatic results. Now, how does this transfer onto career mode and online seasons? If you were to start a season with Bayern, you will see that EA have tried to attempt to recreate the formation and the style of play. In all honesty, it's not too bad, and the tactics do seem to work for the most part. The difficulty with this is that it doesn't really emulate the style very well, and when controlled by a player, it's even hard to emulate the style without leaving huge gaps. Before we go any further, I've got to tell you that the back line is higher than Snoop Dogg at Coachella, which from a personal perspective is hard as hell to play with. But it gives you the ability to control the ball most of the time. That said, it will leave you wide open to attack from teams with pacey wingers. So let me give you a deep dive into the formation and the tactics and instructions, just so that you understand what I mean. And now it's going to be important that only you check the formation out, but you also understand specifically how you play with the team.
Right, so we're on to the formation menu now, where I have made slight adjustments in comparison to how the team set up manually. I'm going to go through each of the choices that I've made and why I've made those specific changes, just to emulate Flick's style more accurately when playing online seasons and career mode. So what I'll do is I'll quickly flip back and forth between the original and the one that I'm using just as I go through this. So what you'll notice about the original one is that you still have that centre defensive midfield role, the left centre mid and the right centre mid, left wing, right wing as well. The thing is, with this formation, whilst EA have tried to emulate the style, I don't think the midfield is arranged correctly. On top of that, I don't particularly think that left back and right back is the correct positions for those players. I think what it should be is as wing backs. So let's quickly move on to how I've set it up. So the back four, the same, obviously changing the left and the right to the wing backs. Now moving on to the midfield, what we've got is a right defensive midfielder. Obviously Kimmich slipping into that role really well, adjusting his play under Flick and becoming a really well-rounded centre defensive midfielder with obviously that attacking prowess as well if needs be. Moving on to the left side, we're going for a left centre midfielder, and then slightly above them a right attacking midfielder, and I'll explain the specifics on the instructions that you should give to those players to accommodate for the style. Now, one of the things that you may notice that is slightly different is the fact that rather than having the wingers as full-on wingers, I've got them as left mid and right mid. Whilst a lot of people will probably say that they're more attacking and they are the left wing, right wing positions, what I would say is to emulate it on FIFA, it's very difficult to actually have them defensively drop back into shape. the shape that I have set up here, what you'll notice is that when you're playing with this type of formation, it will drop into a 4-1-4-1, which is how they line up defensively anyway. If you've got the wingers in the attacking positions, they don't actually tend to drop. So it's not necessarily the left mid and right mid for the attacking purposes. It's so that when you're defending, it emulates that style of dropping into the 4-1-4-1 more accurately. The striker, Lewandowski, obviously up top by himself, but this is the best way to emulate the style in my personal opinion. So starting with the goalkeeper, saving on crosses as comes for crosses and saving outside the box as sweeper keeper. The reason for this is because the back line is so high, you need your keeper to be aggressive to accommodate for the fact that there will be long balls that are coming over the top. One of the things that you're going to find most often is that long balls come over the top in the form of going out wide, left and right. Obviously, Pavard and Davis incredibly fast, but I'll be completely honest with you, if you're not switched on, the work is not going to be done for you. Whilst in real life, Davis, Alaba, Pavard, they are all rapid. Unfortunately, in this game, it doesn't read it as well. So you do have to manually sort of read how the game is going to be played against you, and then as a result accommodate by bringing Alaba and Davis, Pavard all back. The good thing is that the way that defensively the formation sits, the 4-1-4-1 works out really well. Kimmich, what he'll do is he'll drop between those two centre backs, step forward ever so slightly, just so at least you've always got three at the back. Davis and Pavard usually do have the ability to get back quite fast. Obviously, if you're not necessarily using it with Bayern Munich, what you need to be doing is making sure that the defenders that you do get are pacey. It's very important. I'll go into more detail in terms of the style when it comes to the tactics, but they're the sort of things that you want to be looking out for. Make sure you stick around for the end of the video, because I will make sure that I explain to you the type of players that you need to suit this formation. Again, like I say in every single video, so I don't get comments of people saying, I tried this formation and I lost a game. This formation is not a formation that is going to make you win every match, but it is going to give you an extremely high level of control. And if you learn how to use it well enough, then you can really utilize it against the opposition. Also, what I'm doing is showing you how to use the formation itself. So like I've said before as well, make sure you ignore the players that are actually playing, even though I may mention them by name. The pure purpose of this video is to show you how to emulate the tactics so you can use it in any team across FIFA. Moving on to the centre backs, the attacking support is stay back while attacking, and the interceptions are just down as normal interceptions. So the wing backs in terms of their instructions are the same as well. What you want to do is have the attacking runs as join the attack, the interceptions down as normal interceptions, and the run types down as overlap. So what that'll do is just give you that added width that Bayern are known for. The extreme pace they've got going forward and the ability to get multiple crosses in, as well as flood the area of the opposition. Okay, so moving on to the centre defensive midfielder now. What you want to do is have their defensive behaviour as balanced, the attacking support is dropped between defenders, and the interceptions are normal. Defensive positioning, you want him to cover the centre. So like I said, he wants to be that player that sort of drops between the two centre backs and then steps forward, creating that 4-1-4-1 formation whilst on the defence. For the centre midfielder now, what you want is attacking support on balanced, support on crosses as balanced, interceptions on normal, and position freedom, stick to position, defensive position, cover centre. With this type of style, what you'll do is you'll find out that the centre midfielder very much stays central and doesn't sort of drift too far forward or too far back, which is really good. Obviously, like I said before, when you're dropping into that defensive mode and you've got a 4-1-4-1, you'll find he slots into position quite quickly. On top of that, he's always going to be optioned for the wide players. What you'll notice that they do is they try and switch the play to accommodate for the opposition shifting to one side to try and win the ball. This opens up a lot of room for the other wings to go forward, and this centre midfielder can actually be quite a catalyst for that. Always that option in the middle to springboard and attack. Going forward to the attacking midfielder. Now, what I've done is I've shifted him out to the right ever so slightly. So if you want to go back in the video, what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to see how I've shifted him over to the right, and now I'll go into a bit more detail as to why I've done that. So if you notice about Muller in real life, what you'll notice is that there's no real specific positioning for him. If you watch the lineup before the game start, you'll notice that he's just down as a centre attacking midfielder, but whilst the game's being played, you'll notice him slowly start to drift out wide. On top of that, I genuinely feel as if Muller is one of those players that has immaculate positioning and he reads the game so well. Obviously difficult to emulate that, but that said, you'll notice that whilst he is being controlled by the AI, that he will slip into those positions and find those spaces so that he can receive a pass. Now what you want to do is have his defensive support on basic, his support on crosses as balanced, but his positioning freedom on free roam. You want him to be constantly trying to find that space, constantly trying to initiate an attack or be that option that is needed to assist in getting the ball to the other wing to continue an attack. Now moving on to left mid and right mid, they've got the same instructions as well. So defensive support on basic, the chance creation on balanced width. For support runs, we've got it as get in behind. You're going to have the wide players in the terms of the left wing back and the right wing back going forward, so you're still in a position where you're not leaving too much space out wide. Support on crosses as balanced and the interceptions down as normal. Last but certainly not least, the striker. So for the support runs, we've got them as stay central. With the volume of players that you've got out wide, what you don't want is your striker drifting out wide as well. You want him to be that option in the middle. You want him to be available to be able to break through on goal, or if needs be, act as that false nine. The attacking runs as mixed attack. Interceptions, you want them down as aggressive. So one of the things you'll notice when you are watching Bayern Munich is that Lewandowski does really well to try and close down the two centre-backs as much as possible. The press is incredibly high and it all starts with him being as active as possible, trying to just unsettle the centre-backs. This interception style matches that perfectly, so any passes that are going to be going between the two centre-backs, your striker will try and close those down as aggressively as possible. Defensive support just down as basic. Okay, moving on to the tactics now. The defensive style, you want to have that as pressure on heavy touch. The reason you want to do that is because this is the best way to emulate the high press that Flick demands in every single game. So the width, you want it to be quite narrow so that the team, when they do press as a unit, it's narrow and there's not many options through the middle for the opposition to play. The depth, what we've got is we've got that all the way up to 8 to accommodate that high line. Really high, but like I've said before, you will be vulnerable to balls over the top, so make sure that you are aware that that sort of thing will happen. In terms of the offensive style, what I have done is I've set this as possession. So with the type of formation that you're going to be using, like I said before, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for you to get forward using the wing. It's really important that whilst the style of play is as possession, you also make sure that you're trying to be as quick as possible. The idea is for Flick's team, not only is the press high when they don't have the ball, but the pressure is high when they do on the opposition. So they are trying to get the ball forward quickly and they are utilising that immaculate pace that they do have across the squad. Okay, so we've got the width at 8 to accommodate for most of the play being constructed down the wings. The players in the box high, corners, free kicks at 3 each. Obviously you can have more players, but if you truly want to emulate Flick's style, you want as many people forward as possible to accommodate for the fact that you want to maintain high pressure throughout all of the game.
So when playing with the team, what you want to do is make sure that you utilise the wings as much as possible. It's going to be really important that you understand that the wings are going to be your main vessel. Natural reaction for you might be to try and go through the centre, but there's not going to be as many passing options as you would expect. Instead, the players are going to drift out wide, and the players that are in the middle are going to tend to either be dropped back or dropped forward. So as a result, every time a player gets the ball in midfield, you would expect them to try and move forward with it. There's not going to be much options for sort of short passing lanes left to right. You're going to have to make sure that you go to the wings. When defending, you need to make sure that you are actively aware that each team are going to be trying to catch you on the counter-attack. You'll find that if you play with this formation well, you will spend most of the time penning the opposition into their own half. Like I explained before, yes, the style of play is down as possession, but it's purely down to you how you use it. Make sure that you try to move the ball fast. The team is about speed, so do everything quick. Use the passing options out wide. Even though possession is the name of the game and we're not using fast build-up for this team, you can still manually make sure that the passes are fast and you're always looking for that second, third pass as you're making the first. With enough practice, this is definitely a formation that can pull teams apart. And the further you get into the season, you will notice that it does start to tire the players out quite a bit when you do come up against teams that control the ball slightly more than you do. It's important to maintain a high possession rate. In terms of the type of players that you want to suit this style, that's completely relative to the league that you're playing in. Obviously, if you're trying to emulate this style in the second division of English football, the pace isn't going to need to be as high, but you are going to need to make sure that that's definitely something that you work on. On top of that, what you're probably going to need to do is make sure that the stamina rate is high as well, because this is an incredibly demanding formation. Personally, I would go for a striker similar to Lewandowski in terms of him being tall, strong, able to hold the ball up so that the wingers can overtake him. Another option that you might want to go for is a pacey striker to assist the wingers in terms of going forward, all three of them stepping forward and being the option for each other when trying to get into the box. So I know a few of you guys are probably going to be watching this thinking to yourself, that back line is way too high and I can't really accommodate that style of football for the team. My last piece of advice to you would be to still try the formation, and if the high line doesn't work out for you, try dropping it down to 6 instead of 8 and see how that works. It might be a little bit more transferable. If you don't have high squad depth, that is probably one of the things that I would suggest, because the high line is incredibly demanding of the back four, and as a result, you could get them quite tired as you go throughout the season. And when it gets to that critical stage of the season where you need to be winning games and you don't need your players tired or injured, it may come back to haunt you. Thank you guys for checking this video out. I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't already, please check out the other videos I've done as part of this series. If you guys can think of any other managers that you would like me to analyse, make sure that you leave a comment in the comment section down below. This video was requested by William Ekstrom Paulson. He subscribed to the channel, made sure he left a comment in the comment section below, so I wanted to make sure that I did this for him. Thank you, bro. I appreciate your support. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time on Cali Sunset Gaming.